Hey guys, here for another lesson. We're going to be working on locating points in a coordinate plane. So the question is this: is the point 3, 0 the same at the same position as 0, 3? Do those represent the same spot? So here's our goal to answer that question. I'd like you to be able to learn how to graph and locate points in a coordinate plane. Alright, with that in mind, let's roll. Well, you got to take some notes here. So if you can, on your WSQ, if you can write down a coordinate plane here, like I have drawn, and then probably go out 4 spots in the positive direction, and 4 spots up, and 4 spots back, just put little ticks, and 4 spots down. That should be good to go. Well, as you're writing here, pause it if you need to, and be sure to copy everything that's on this page. Copy it down in your notes so you have it down. Alright, your coordinate plane is made up of 2 number lines basically. The first number line that you have is called the x-axis right here. This is the x-axis, and what we have is it's basically the middle of it is 0, just like on a number line, and then you got positive numbers to the right, negative numbers to the left. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the back would be -1, -2, -3, and so on. Well, this is our x-axis, and going up and down our vertical is called your y-axis. And again, going up, starting at 0, would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then dropping down would be -1, -2. So usually you have to label a few of these. So label 1 and 2, and -1, -2, +1, +2 on the y, and label on your axis -1, -2. So you tell us what these lines, because sometimes these lines represent 5 or 10. So you have to label them to see what they're at. Alright, this is an important spot right here. 0, 0, dead center. This is called the origin. And that's where we always start if we're going to graph a point. We start at 0, 0. And all the values in this zone right here, this area, are located in quadrant 1. And all the points in quadrant 1 are going to have a positive x and a positive y. That's why I put plus plus. All the points will be both positive. If I go left now, counterclockwise, this is quadrant 2. In quadrant 2, to get into quadrant 2, I'm going to have to back up. So my x value is going to be negative, and I'm going to go up, and that's my y value, and that's going to be positive. All the points will be negative, positive in quadrant 2. Quadrant 3, I'm going to go back, which is a negative x, and I'm going to drop down, which is a negative y. So all the points in quadrant 3 are going to be both negatives. And quadrant 4 is going to be positive for my x, and negative, I'm going to drop down into quadrant 4, so that's going to be a negative value. So all the points in here will be positive, negative. Alright, let's look at an ordered pair. When I graph a point, I'm going to be given an x value and a y value. So if you see this first point, they're in alphabetical order. So just remember, x comes first, y comes second. So the 3 represents my x, or my x coordinate. And the 2 represents my y value, or my y coordinate. And we call that an ordered pair. So those are how we get points on this graph, by having one x and one y value. Alright, let's move on here, and we'll start graphing some points here. Alright, I have 5 points I'd like to show you how to graph. Alright, the first point, point A, is 3, 4. So my x value is 3, my y value is 4. So if I start on my origin, I'm going to slide 3 units in a positive direction. 1, 2, 3. And then keeping your pencil or pen there, my y value now is 4. So now I slide up 4. 2, 3, 4. And at that intersection, that will be point A, which is 3, 4. So again, over 3, up 4. Remember, you guys, this is really important. You always move left or right first. You always move your x left and right first. Then second, you're going to go up or down. So write that down, please, someplace in your notes. You always move left or right first, and then you're going to move up and down. And some kids mix that up. They move up the y first, and then they move over. You always do alphabetical. Do the x, and then do the y. All right, let's move on. Let's graph -3, 4, point B. So now, starting at the origin, like I always do, I'm going to slide back 3 units, and then slide up 4. And then, excuse me, put a dot there, and there's my point B. That's back 3, up 4. Pretty easy here. All right, let's go 3, -4. Where's 3, -4? Well, it started the origin. +3 means I slide 3 to the right, and -4 means I drop 4 units. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, I'm doing my left and right first, and then up and down. So that's my point C. What quadrant is this in? Well, this is quadrant 4. So point C would be quadrant 4, in quadrant 4. All right, point D. -3, -4. Well, start at your origin. My x is -3, so I slide back 3, and I drop 4 now, because I have a -4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's my point D. And what quadrant is point D in? Quadrant 3, yeah, quadrant 3. All right, now they try to make it a little tricky by not being in a quadrant. The point lines up on the x-axis or the y-axis, and this is point E. When one of these two numbers are 0, I'm going to end up on one of the axes, either the x or the y, depending which one's 0. So I want to graph -2, 0. So basically I slide back 2 on my x, and then 0 means I don't move. I just stay right there. And that would be my coordinate for that point for E, point E. It's going to be right on the x-axis. All right, let's move on here. Let's answer our question now. I think you got enough to do that. Are points 3, 0 and 0, 3 on the same, at the same position on the graph? Well, let's look. Let's graph it. Oh, if you see one of them are 0, that means they're going to be on the axis, either the x or y. So be careful now. These are kind of tricky. So I slide over 3 units, and my y coordinate is 0. So that means I'm going to stay right there. And that's going to be the point 3, 0. Now I may ask you what quadrant that's in. Well, you're going to say it's not in any quadrant. It's right on the x-axis. All right, how about 0, 3? Is that at that point? Well, what is my first point? My x says 0. That means don't move, left or right. And then my y coordinate says up 3. So from 0, 0, I slide up 3. And that's my position 0, 3. And that's on the y-axis. So are they the same? No. They're two different spots. All right, let's wrap it up here. How do you graph points in a coordinate plane? Well, here's your steps. Probably want to write this down. You want to always start at the origin and slide to the right or the left first, because that's my x coordinate, my x, alphabetical, remember. And if it's positive, I slide to the right. If it's negative, I slide back to the left. And then from that spot, from that position you're at, don't pick up your pen or pencil, stay there. Then I slide up for a positive y or down for a negative y. And that's basically how you graph. It's really easy. All right, thanks.